Man, I hate to make this video. This proves that LA Knight haters were right. They were right. I gotta admit it. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how they were right and how I was wrong. And it sucks. It sucks. I'll just say that. Look, LA Knight is a guy that he's had a good 2024, man. He won his first ever WWE championship. And no, I don't count the $1 million championship as his first title win. I don't. I don't consider that a championship win, but I digress. Hey, whatever. It's his first championship on the main roster. LA Knight's, he's been U.S. champion since SummerSlam. When he beat Logan Paul, fine, like he dethroned Logan Paul. Whew, that was a bad title reign. But LA Knight is a guy that I've pushed to succeed. He's a guy that I've cheerleaded for. He's been a guy that I've doubted and then once again cheerleaded for. LA Knight's a guy that's had his ups and his downs. Sometimes you counted him out. Sometimes you think he's about to hit the home run and become a world champion. But what one common denominator is with LA Knight is he's done very well under Triple H, right? Thank goodness for Triple H, or he would still be Max Dupree, and that was a god-awful character, thanks to Vince McMahon trying to make LA Knight a manager instead of a wrestler. That'll put a lot of butts in seats. It did. LA Knight is a guy that has had opportunity. He's shared the ring with the likes of John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns. He's also been a guy that has feuded with The Miz and Bray Wyatt. But LA Knight, he's someone that has it. He has charisma. He can talk. He can wrestle. I mean, he legitimately goes down the checklist. Does he look like a pro wrestler? Does he act like a wrestler? Yeah, he does. But there's a stat that cannot be denied anymore. It's a stat that I can't deny, and you can't either. And that leads us to today's video. So LA Knight, he really had his breakout year in 2023, right? The fans pushed for it. I'll get into that more in a minute. But they pushed for him and they went with him, and that's when he feuded with The Miz and Roman Reigns and paired with John Cena, etc. And in 2023, he sold a lot of merch, right? WWE, they released their annual merchandise sales. And in 2023, LA Knight was the third best seller. Unfortunately, he fell in that list of top earners this year. In 2024, he's eighth. Now, look, being the eighth biggest merch seller in the company, that's not bad. That's not bad. But considering that Roman Reigns hasn't been around most of this year and also fell on this list, the fact that he has been outsold by some other names, the fact that LA Knight's booking has absolutely sucked in the last few months since winning the United States Championship sucks. But this stat shows that the haters are right. He has cooled off. He's not at the same height that he once was. Now, that's not to say that LA Knight has cooled off completely where there's no hope and they got to turn him heel tomorrow. No, he's still one of their most over guys. He's still one of their most over baby faces that they have under contract. But that's not to say that they don't have a problem, because they do. Look, LA Knight, since becoming a U.S. champion, what has he done? Well, he's held open challenges, which is good. It's also a bad. The bad is you go through unbelievable challengers, and not in the unbelievable great way, in the I don't have a shadow of a doubt that this guy's going to win. But open challenges are good because it gets a champion on television often. It gets him to defend the championship often, and it gets other talent that maybe would not get title programs an opportunity to challenge for the championship and be on SmackDown in a notable way. But just like a year ago, LA Knight has cooled off. It's weird. It's like when Triple H, he goes through these cycles with LA Knight where like he'll push him to the moon and then he'll just kind of drop him off. Last year, he goes into a feud with The Miz. He's teaming with John Cena on television. And then all of a sudden at Crown Jewel, they're like, hey, we're going to have him wrestle Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Championship. And then we're going to have him lose also in a Fatal 4-Way for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. And then he's going to lose the Elimination Chamber match. It's like 3 big losses. And it's like, what are we doing? And then they're like, oh, yeah, let's build him back up again. Now, I understand that AJ Styles screwed him over in the Elimination Chamber, but still, that was a big loss considering that he was one of the favorites to go into that and win. And the fans have called for it, right? They did want to see him as a top guy. I don't know if LA Knight's going to be a top guy, though. That's the problem. More on that in a minute. So you go into WrestleMania this year and he beats AJ, and that's a good win. That's a good win over a future WWE Hall of Famer and a former WWE champion. But then he went into the feud with Logan Paul, and that was good. That was in a prominent spot. He finally dethroned Logan Paul, this part-time guy who defended the title, twice? 3 times? But LA Knight hasn't really done anything. I mean, if you look at his last notable title defense, or at least his last title defense on a premium live event, what did he do? He defended it against Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, 2 guys in which he previously beat. Oh, by the way, 2 guys that worked a Series 7 of matches, only to end because LA Knight attacks them both as a babyface, something usually saved for heels. But hey, that's how they booked him. LA Knight has cooled off. Stats don't lie. Hopefully they can turn that around, though. He's very talented, right? Please don't come at me with, well, he's a knockoff of The Rock, or he's a ripoff of The Rock. Please, stop that. That's unnecessary. He's not. Sure, he talks like The Rock. Sure, he acts like Austin, right? He's got that charisma-esque to him when it comes to that. They're very similar. I get it. But he's not a ripoff, so let's not even play that game. How did they get back on track with LA Knight? Well, I think it's actually very simple. You have him enter in, are you ready for it? A meaningful program against a meaningful guy who can realistically dethrone him as the United States champion, who can realistically beat him for the championship, who can realistically take that title from him, who gives him a legitimate threat, right? And that's regardless of whatever they're doing with him on television, right? Depending on when you hear this. I don't really care what they're doing with him on television right this second. You got to give him something. And I think in the long term, if you can string that together where it's not just one feud, but it's 2 feuds where he can start winning those big feuds over big name talent, then maybe you can right the wrong that is LA Knight. Maybe you can get his momentum back to it. Until you do that, though, I think you're going to be swimming up creek. I really do. We'll see what they can do, though, right? We will see what they can do. I'm curious about it. Let me know down in the comments area below. What do you think?